CAPTCHA is those squiggly characters that you have to type all over the internet whenever you're getting an email account, for example, or getting a Facebook account or buying tickets for a concert. You have to type these squiggly, distorted characters. And the reason for them is to make sure that you, the entity filling out the web form, are actually a human and not a computer program that was written to submit the form millions of times. And the reason it works is because humans can read these distorted characters, but computers cannot yet do it. So, for example, in the case of Facebook, the reason you have to type these squiggly characters is to prevent a computer program from obtaining 1 million Facebook accounts, which then later can be used to spam people, for example.
Have you got any idea as to how many people are using this system? Or put another way, how many individuals are relentlessly typing in and they're mistyping in my case, these characters all over the world every day?
Yeah, so I don't know the exact number, but I know this. About 200 million times a day, somebody does it. Now, there are many people that do it multiple times. The total number of CAPTCHAs that are solved every day by people around the world is about 200 million.
Very big numbers, and so it must have occurred to you that this is a lot of human brain power which is being expended on what was otherwise a completely pointless task, other than just to fulfill a security obligation.
Yeah, this is what gave birth to my next project after I helped create CAPTCHAs. A few years later, when I discovered this 200 million number, I decided that there was a lot of time that was being spent typing these CAPTCHAs. If you do a simple calculation, it's 200 million times. Each time it takes about 10 seconds. And if we multiply 200 million by 10 seconds, you get that humanity as a whole is wasting about 500,000 hours every day typing these annoying CAPTCHAs. So I started thinking if there's any way in which we could make use of this human effort. The thing is, during those 10 seconds while you're typing a CAPTCHA, your brain is doing something amazing. Your brain is doing something that computers cannot yet do. So could we get it to do something useful? And the answer is yes, and this is what we're doing now. So what people may not know is that nowadays, while they type a CAPTCHA, not only are they authenticating themselves as a human, but also they're helping to digitize books. And the way this works is there's a lot of projects out there trying to digitize books. For example, Google has one. And the idea is to take physical books and put them in digital form over the internet so that anybody can access them. Now, the way this works is you start with a physical book, then you scan it. Now, scanning a book, literally what it is taking a digital photograph of every page of the book. The next step in the process is that the computer needs to be able to decipher all of the words in these pictures. But the problem is that for older books, the pictures are a little blurry, or mainly because the ink is blurry or the book has turned yellow, and so the computer cannot recognize many of the words. So what we're doing now is we're taking all of the words that the computer cannot recognize in this book digitization process, and we're getting people to read them for us while they type a CAPTCHA on the internet. So next time you type a CAPTCHA on the internet, those letters, those squiggly letters that you have to type are basically they're parts of words that are coming out of books that the computer could not recognize and that it's trying to digitize.
What's your sort of quality control mechanism? Because I could go on there and I could make a mistake and type in the wrong letters. You're going to log that as my interpretation of those letters. Do you do it lots of times with lots of people and take the most common consensus, like, and ask the audience on who wants to be a millionaire, for example?
Yeah, so we do a lot of different quality control mechanisms. The two big ones are the following. The first one is that we actually nowadays give you 2 words instead of just 1. And the thing is, for one of the words, that's a word that has already been digitized, and so we know what it is. So that word is the one we use to determine whether you're a human or not. The other word is a brand new word out of a book that we don't know, that the system does not know what it is. Now, we don't tell you which word is which. We just say, please type both. And if you type the correct word for the one for which the system already knew the answer, we assume that you're a human and that you're also playing somewhat honestly. And then we get some confidence that you typed the other word correctly. So that's one mechanism. The other mechanism is that we get multiple people to type the same new word. And if they all agree on what the new word is, then we get with overwhelmingly high confidence that the new word is done correctly.
If you've got 200 million of these things happening every day, how long does it take to do a single book using your technique then?
I don't know for a single book. Part of the problem is that there are many books being done at a time. The number is that it's about 2 million books per year that are being done.
Can you put a value on that, Luis? Can we work out what that's worth were we to pay someone to physically go through a book and transcribe it and translate it in that way?
It costs about 1/10 of a cent per word to transcribe a book. And a typical book has a couple 100,000 words. So you can do the math there. It's about $200 per book.
And you've got to times that by several million.
By 2 million a year.
So it has the potential actually to be very cost effective, whilst at the same time turning something that was dead time, a person's wasted brain power, into something extremely valuable. What sorts of books are being processed this way?
I mean, basically all books are being digitized this way. I mean, not all books, because some of them are still under copyright, so that's not happening, or the authors have not allowed us to do this. But basically all books.
What's the process then? Do you select what topics you want to explore or what books, or do people now submit books for you to consider and you then put them through your system?
No, the process is so Google is basically scanning most of the books in the world. And so the process is just, so this by the way ended up a project that was bought by Google. And so now it is all being done by Google. And the process is really just whatever libraries are allowing them to scan, they're scanning. The goal is to scan everything. It's difficult to scan every single book in the world, but the goal is really to scan everything, if not most everything.